Hello YouTube. I have some time between jobs in the workshop and I've got a project I want to try and I think it might be interesting, so I want to show where I've got to with it so far. So every now and then I like to go into antique shops and look at old bits of furniture and woodwork, and sometimes you see drinks globes. I like drinks globes, I think they're interesting, but the ones that I keep seeing are plastic. From afar they look good, but you look up close and it's just a brown blow molded sphere in two halves that has had a map pasted onto it, and it's always missing something for me, and I was wondering how it would be possible to make it all in wood. So the method I've come up with involves a mold. Here's the mold. I made this on my CNC machine. These two parts are designed from a 30cm diameter ball. I did that all in CAD. These faces are offset to allow 6 layers of 1/2 mil veneer. This is Douglas fir. It's been dyed. I'm using this because it was cheap, and this is a test. So yeah, let's try it. I've let this sit in the press overnight, so now I'm going to open it up and I'll show you what we end up with. So, we pull that off there, and then there we go. Stuck a little bit there. So, as you can see, we have a compound curve. Very hard, yes. The next step I want to do is to veneer the inside with a nicer looking veneer. I want to do this so when I then cut off the excess, I cut the veneer at the same time, and that'll be easier. Whilst it's a lovely looking veneer, Macor is really brittle and doesn't like to bend around curves. So because of that, I'm going to soak the bits in hot water for about an hour or two, and then put them back into the same mold to hopefully give them a pre-flex, a pre-bend, before I then glue them to our rough segment. And now I'll show that. Boom. So I've successfully veneered the inside of this segment. You might be wondering why I didn't do that in the first glue up with the Douglas fir veneer, and I did it in 2 parts. That's because I did try it, but no matter what I did, it always ended up cracking down there. Because there was too many layers trying to bend too tightly, and no matter what I did, it kept cracking. And I was running through quite a lot of veneer to do it. So I opted for doing it in 2 parts, and that way I could make sure that it wasn't going to crack and I could check on it as I went. But now we need to trim off the excess so we end up with a segment. It's quite tricky to do, but then I remembered I have a 3D printer and I made these. I'm quite pleased with these. I 3D printed these jigs, and what they do is they hold the part with these little clamps here, they hold the part at the perfect angle so that a 90-degree blade running along parallel to this face will put in the correct angle into the part. And that does it for one side, and then you have to make the mirrored version to cut the other side. And once you do that, so we just need to repeat that all 15 more times. So now I've got all those segments, I'm going to take the table saw marks off with a flat sanding board, and once I've done that, we can go ahead and start gluing segments together. I'm gluing the segments together with wood glue, and I'm clamping the joints with masking tape, which gives me an opportunity to use my new favourite machine. In order to help me glue it together, I quickly CNC'd this jig, which is just the 30cm circle diameter that I'm going for, along with a standoff that holds the segment at the right height, just so I can check everything's aligning as I go. Now it's time to start gluing. I'm gluing the small segments together to make larger segments, and then combining those as I go to make the full hemisphere. And after peeling all the tape off, we have half a sphere. I've gone ahead and flattened the rim on a sanding board, and that's why I left extra on the bandsaw earlier. And I've done some 80 grit sanding on the outside just to clean up some of the glue, and some sanding and scrape on the inside as well. That still needs to be done to finish standard, but just to clean up the glue in the meantime. So we have half a sphere with a veneered internal and a smooth external. Now you would be right in thinking that we're only halfway there, which is why I made the second half off camera. This one doesn't have any veneer in it, so it was a little bit quicker. I have something planned for that. I'm really pleased with these. They're really accurate. They're almost perfectly concentric, and they fit. The two halves are really close to being identical. I think it looks really cool. And what I've made is what I set out to do, a hollow ball with a 4mm skin that's really light but strong. So next step, we need to make a base and then have the two halves hinge in the center so they can open. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that in the next video. I'll leave a little teaser for what the base is going to look like right at the end of this one, and I think it's going to be really cool. But yeah, if you enjoyed this and want to see what happens in the next part, subscribe and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.